Well, I always hate to punish the punctual, and we have well over 50 people already online, so let's get going. First of all, I'm Toby Sachs. I'm the current chair of the Evanston Arts Council. You can also see on the screen Beth Adler, the past chair, and we'll be coming to her later, and James Deeb, our current vice chair, and a very important guest who I will introduce in just a moment, Esme. But really first, good evening. Welcome to all, and a very safe evening and holiday to all. But tonight is a night to think past some of what's going on and will continue to go on for a while, and to welcome you to Evanston Art Council's Bright Night for the Arts. We do it every year. We normally do it in person, and this time we're able to do it virtually. We're really excited to have the Mayor join us and host the greater part of the show. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. And we'll be passing over to him in just a few minutes, really to take us through the program. He's going to be our host for the show because we're here to celebrate the arts, what they bring to the quality of life in our city. And before I hand over to Mayor Haggerty, we're really, really lucky to have a live performance, a real treat. I think we've all been hungering for live music for so many months now, and we're lucky enough to have some. We're missing that thrill of live performance, but we're going to have it now, and we're going to have it, and I'd like to introduce you to Esme Arias Kim. Esme studies in the very prestigious Academy program of the Music Institute of Chicago. And of course, we're really proud that they have a campus here in Evanston. Esme made her solo orchestral debut at the age of 10 with old friends of mine at the Oistrakh Symphony. Now, at the grand old age of 15, she was 14 2 days ago. Happy birthday, Esme. But at the grand old age of 15, she's recently won the grand prize in the very prestigious junior division of the annual Sphinx competition. She's also won more competitions than we have time to list here, but they include first place at the New York International Artist Association, the Walgreens National Concerto Competition, the Liska Scholarship, and the Chicago Chamber Music Festival. So you can see we're very, very lucky to have her here. I'm most grateful to the Music Institute of Chicago for making that connection to us. And Esme, please introduce yourself, tell us what you're going to play, and delight us.
Hi everyone, my name is Esme Arias Kim, and I'm really excited to be here today. I study at the Music Institute of Chicago, and I will be playing Estrellita by Ponce. Estrellita means little star in Spanish, and I thought that would work perfectly with a bright night for the arts, so I really hope that you enjoy. Thanks.
Wonderful job, Esme. Wonderful. Do you live in Evanston as well?
I live in Hoffman Estates.
You live in Hoffman Estates, but then you've been trained here at the Music Institute of Chicago, here in Evanston, which is wonderful. Which is also celebrating a big anniversary in their 90th anniversary this year, which I'm sure you're aware of. We are blessed here in Evanston to have so many talented people either living in this community or coming to this community to be trained by so many exceptionally talented people. So I'm so glad you could join us, Esme. I am Mayor Steve Haggerty, the mayor of Evanston. And it was a pleasure to have you start off our Bright Nights in the Mayor's Awards for the Arts in 2020. So thank you. This is an incredibly difficult time for our arts community, our artists and organizations. We applaud everyone's terrific ingenuity and resilience that they are showing, finding ways to cope and pivot to the new delivery channels and to continue their work. We had a conversation about whether we should have Bright Night for the Arts this year because of the pandemic. And it was actually because of the pandemic, I thought we needed to have this event more than ever, because even at our darkest hour, and for many people, particularly people my age, I'm just turned 52, this is one of the most difficult periods of our lives. From a big macro perspective. There was certainly the attack on America on 9/11, and then we have the pandemic of 2020. But in those darkest times, there's never a more important role for art to play. And if you really think about this pandemic, when so many of us are being told by mayors and governors and others to stay at home, how do we form connections with the world when we are isolated at a moment like this? And so much of that is through art like music that we just heard Esme play, or through books. And today they actually had the Booker Prize awarded today. And Barack Obama spoke and mentioned the connection that we can have to other people when we're reading books. And he's a voracious reader himself. And then, of course, there's the visual arts and everything else. So this is a really necessary thing, I think, for a community and a country and a world right now that is just in a dark period. And it won't be dark forever. We will get out of this, and we are strong. But we do need the arts more than ever to keep us sane and to keep us centered, whether it's a message of hope or thanks chalked on a sidewalk, and I've seen a lot of those around Evanston, or an artist sharing their work online, or a dance or an acting class taking place virtually, or an outdoor socially distanced performance. My heart lifts a little each time I see another of Evanston's vibrant art world determinedly doing and sharing their thing. Let's take a look right now at a 6-minute video that showcases some of the most wonderful outpouring of art that has been shared in our city and brightening our lives through these past 6 tough months. Art certainly hasn't hibernated during this pandemic here in Evanston. Before we get to the awards tonight, I want to recognize the Evanston Arts Council and Beth Adler. Beth, we couldn't let tonight go by without recognizing you. You've done so much for the arts here in Evanston, and I'd like to take a minute to thank Paulina Martinez as well, who is on our city staff. You don't see Paulina here, but she is behind the scenes and critical to making this all happen, as well as the members of the Evanston Arts Council, including Toby Sachs and James Deeb, who are with us. And you can see them here, or maybe only I can see them here. They really ramped up their Facebook and the Instagram channels to share all of the work that you saw on that video and so much more over the past months. They helped me run a creative face covering contest that we did several months ago when we first realized we all needed to mask up, and we still need to keep our masks on. Masks do make a difference. And to make a new habit a little less intimidating for us all. Our mask can be a bit of say something about our style. They recently installed 3 great new public art sculptures, including the first ever public art sculpture in the 5th Ward, which is wonderful news. So congratulations to the 5th Ward and our Alderwoman, Robin Roos Simmons, who's done a great job leading that ward over the last 4 years. And once we are able to unfreeze some of the grant budget funding, as you know, all of our funding has been hit hard because of the pandemic, just like the families and the businesses here in our community. But once we were able to unfreeze a little of that funding this year, I hope we can unfreeze a lot more in future years for our arts. That helped Paulina Martinez on the city staff apply successfully for a matching grant from the Illinois Arts Council. Our Evanston Arts Council established an equity working group over a year ago, and with great input from them, revised the Cultural Fund grant guidelines to address both the impact of the pandemic and the city and the country's heightened focus on racial equity. They simplified the application process and invited grassroots community arts groups as well as formal nonprofits to apply. For the first time, they specified that they would favor applications from Black, Indigenous, and people of color organizations and projects serving underserved communities, and appointed grant review judges that were predominantly Black, Indigenous, and people of color individuals. All that really changed the way that grants were distributed this year. The number of applications went up by 65%, and 60% of those applicants had never applied before. The same total budget of $30,000 was dispersed among 21 grantees compared to just 12 last year. 71% of the grants went to Black, Indigenous, and people of color organizations or projects primarily serving BIPOC or underserved populations. That means 15 out of 21 grants this year versus 3 out of 12 last year. In particular, I want to recognize Beth Adler for 4 years of dedicated service on the Arts Council and leading it as the chair for the past 2 years. Thank you, Beth. You have been a real leader during these difficult times. Beth, infectiously enthusiastic about the role of arts in our community, well organized and quick to handle and look for ways to support all art forms. She really stepped up when we discontinued the dedicated arts coordinator position in the city and made sure that the Arts Council stayed focused and effective. She has exhibited in the windows of her studio, as you can see right now on your screen, windows of her studio throughout the pandemic, delighting passerbyers on the sidewalk. And she has raised money for the Evanston Community Foundation's Rapid Relief Fund by selling her striking COVID prints. Thank you, Beth, for everything that you have done for the arts in Evanston. I know the Arts Council will miss you and your leadership. Would you like to say a few words, Beth?
Sure, I would love to. Thank you, Mayor Haggerty and members of the Arts Council. It's been a pleasure to serve on the Arts Council these last 4 years, 2 of them as chair. These have been truly unusual times, and as Evanston has had to shift priorities to help those most in need, I'm glad to see that the arts has not been cast aside. With limited resources, the Arts Council has been able to continue to engage and support our creative community through our Cultural Fund grants. Art can help heal our world at a time when it sorely needs healing. Continuing to see the arts as an essential part of our society is so important. We now enjoy the arts from a safe distance. In our homes, watching performances on TV, in our car, listening to music, and on Zoom in virtual galleries everywhere. Our creative community can help to sustain and remind us that there is life after COVID. When the pandemic finally subsides, we will come back together to reflect upon our year of pause. The artwork created during this time will help to remind us how precious those things that we may have taken for granted really are. I wish Toby and James the very best as they now lead the wonderful and talented members of the Arts Council into the next decade. I wanted to acknowledge the invaluable roles that both Kimberly Richardson, Assistant City Manager, and Paulina Martinez, Deputy City Manager, played in supporting the council in all their efforts. Thank you, stay safe, make art.
Thank you, Beth. And now for one of my favorite duties of the year, awarding the mayor's awards for the arts. It always is hard to get down to just 2 awards as so much great artwork is done in our community. And this year I just couldn't do it. I couldn't narrow it down to 2. I felt we really needed to recognize a number of different groups who have collaborated on projects that address 2 very timely needs. public art that proudly states that Black Lives Matter and diversity is our strength, and groups who have delivered art kits to underserved kids stuck at home who need a creative outlet. So without further ado, this year's Mayor Awards for the Arts go to, and remember there's going to be a few here, so it's not just the first one, but the first one I am super proud to recognize, which is the Evanston Township basketball team and their Black Lives Matter street painting on Dodge at the high school. And there is a photo of it that we are all looking at. I actually think the photo on the top right is really cool and very artistic, how they put that together. A lot of people have looked there and said, well, where were the three streets? And yet that photograph itself is sort of a piece of art here in town. Kudos to Coach Ellis. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing some of the players' names, to Josu Pellet, to Blake Peters, to Isaiah Holden, to Jalen Gibson, to Elijah Bull, to Kutse Mutasa, and everyone, and there were lots of others, everyone who worked with them. And I do want to just take a brief moment and offer my deepest sympathies for the loss of their teammate, Ryan Bost, another young person lost too soon and too seamlessly to violence in our nearby community. It's my deepest condolences to the Bost family and to the basketball team and everyone that knew and loved Ryan Bost. The second organization that I want to recognize tonight is the Evanston Arts Center and their Black Lives Matter painting on their parking lot. Different than the other one that you just saw from the Evanston basketball team, but also really interesting and creative, and it's just well done. And I just want to recognize all those that were involved in this effort. That includes Paula Danoff, Jolie Fleming, Sholo Beverly, Boz Cumberbatch, Blanca Cortez, David Johnson Niara, Ziana Pearson Muller, and Grant Rogers. Congratulations and great job there. And lastly, in this category, I want to recognize Dawes School and the mural and the that colorfully celebrates diversity and the strength that exists in diversity. Somehow, Principal Marlena Aponte Matthews found time to spearhead this wonderful effort, get financial support from the Evanston Arts Council, and make this uplifting mural happen while she was just, running a school in the middle of a pandemic and all the challenges that brings. So bravo to her and to all of those involved in this public arts project. Well done, all of you. The second category I want to recognize is 6 groups who worked with a great number of community partners to deliver art kits to kids from disadvantaged backgrounds who really needed a creative outlet when they were stuck at home. And we're going to share some photos of these for you. And I want to thank you. Between these organizations that you see up on your screen right now, they distributed more than 1,500 art kits to our wonderfully creative Evanston kids. And those organizations are Kids Create Change, Art Makers Outpost, which just opened this year, just before the pandemic, to Evanston Made, to Open Studio Project, to Young Evanston Artists, and to Art Encounter. You can see some of the fantastic art kits they got to the underserved kids across Evanston over the summer, backed up by online prompts, programs, and encouragement. Really terrific work, terrific organization, and there's a lot that makes me happy about Evanston in the midst of a pandemic, and one of those is our ability as a community to help one another. And I'm so pleased that art didn't fall by the wayside, that we created outlets and tools and means for young people to still practice art and enjoy art. To close, let me put a plug in for one of my other favorite upcoming duties, which is the Mayor's Holiday Card Contest. This has been going on now for 3 years. I think this is the third year that we have done this. And this art contest is open to any resident in Evanston who is in grades kindergarten through 12th grade or is a student at a K to 12th grade Evanston public, private, or religious school. So if you are a resident here in K to 12, or you go to school here and you're in K to 12, but you live in Wilmette, you live in Skokie, or live in Chicago, you can participate. I would love to have you design the Mayor's Holiday Card this year. Every year we get 30 to 50 submissions, and they really are uplifting to see. The quick rules of it, besides what I just said in terms of you have to be K to 12, the art should remain secular. The card should conform to standard greeting card size, which is 5 by 7. Files, when you send it in, must not exceed 50 megabytes. Your art should be mailed to holidaycard@cityofevanston.org with the subject line, Mayor Holiday Card Submission, and your name. All submissions must be received by Sunday, November 29th at 11:59 p.m. So if it's 9 p.m. on November 29th and you want to stay up longer, just say to your parents, no, I'm working on the Mayor's Holiday Card, and maybe they'll let you stay up a little longer. The contest is limited to 1 submission per kid, and I hope you will do it. The winner, okay, and usually I have semifinalists. We will all have a meeting together because of the pandemic. We'll do it on Zoom, and we will look at each other's art. Well, not my art. You don't want to see my art, but we'll look at your art. And I will be recognizing all of the semifinalists, and we'll have the finalists with us as well. And that final one that is selected will be my year-end message to the community. And this year, I've had many more messages to the community than usual because of the pandemic. Those messages go out to about 55,000 people, and usually about somewhere between 20 and 30,000 people are opening that who will see your card. So I do hope that you will participate in this holiday card contest. I would be honored to receive your entry. That concludes our Mayor's our Bright Night and Mayor's Awards for the Arts for 2020. Let me just conclude by saying that I love being the mayor of Evanston because, in part, this community is so culturally rich, and the arts are broad and they're deep here in Evanston. And I know that this year hasn't panned out the way any of us anticipated it would. But I also know that some of the finest works, if we look back in history, some of the finest works that we have, whether it's literature or whether it's paintings or other physical art, has come out of some dark periods in this time, some periods of unrest like we're in right now. And so I am confident that we are going to see lots of art coming out of this period that is meaningful and important in the history of this city. So thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Thank you for the Evanston Arts Council for organizing this and helping me select those winners. Congratulations to all of the awardees tonight. And thank you to Beth Adler for all that you have done here for the Arts Council. Good night, everyone.